Here I am, Leon C, aka Morpheus. Got my red shirt on today, so I'm ready to deliver another red pill for you to give you some empowerment, my American people, to support you and to bring you up further. So before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and blend and integrate these emails into the subject of this matter. There are three major questions that were sent in to me in various forms, and I'm going to go ahead and combine them together and serve you as your brother in crime. We're going to get this started. Based on popular questionnaires, I've had several people email me about the situations that they have read on the news and the public arena about the increased crime, about hate crimes that have happened in the churches, about several shootings that involved groups of people and one individual or two individuals deciding upon or taking upon themselves to go in there and to eliminate whoever is in that group. I will put it like that, very nicely and soft on this channel. Okay, so I'm going to read it in this context of how they was explaining it to me. Basically, they were saying that, is this the act of the devil in these in our face situations? Okay, so I've answered this in one of my other videos, but I'm going to explain it again. Okay, because some of these people who are emailing me are still Christian. They're still thinking religious. You got to understand one thing and comprehend this. When you are reading the news, when you are studying the outside world, you got to get religion out of your mind, because religion is a concept. It's an idea. It does not interface itself with reality. Okay? Out here, when it comes to you reading the news, when you're watching these things in your face and it's surprising you, or it's causing you to be in fear, or it's causing you to lose your own focus point, you got to realize that that is a reality that's outside of your religious realm, because your religious realm is a circular fortress of the way that you have to think. Okay, real life, it's outside of that parameter. Now, let's get real. And I'm going to tell you this and answer your question. No, it's not the act of the devil. Your religion or your Christianity wants you to think that it is the devil, that there is just devil and there's God. One-way thinking, like there's left, there's right. There's blue, there's red. They just want you to think that way. Your mind is not segregated like that. Real life is not segregated by what is cheese, what is bread. Okay? Real life is a cacophony. It is a collaboration of multiple things, the apparatus of reality that does not base itself on you having the ability of breaking it down to its very small molecules and its items. Okay? It is not the act of the devil. It is the act of man. Okay, you got to get that straight. I told you about that in the other videos. This is not a battle of just what you would think. Oh, it's a spiritual warfare for your soul, and this is the devils are trying to attack us and eliminate us. No, it is the act of man, because the act of man's ignorance. And how I have taught you before, when I say man, I'm talking about mankind. When I discuss mankind, I'm talking about humans. That is male and female. Okay, so when I say man, I'm talking about all humankind. Okay, where you have the ability to tap into being the God species that you are. And I told you before, just because you are a God doesn't mean that you are a good God. If you've been watching my other videos, and some of you have, there are several levels and several kind of gods that are in existence. Okay, God is just a title. That doesn't mean that you are of a God, or that you have God feelings, or that you are a God type of person. That doesn't mean that you are of, you get to call it, for some of you, heavenly ideas. It doesn't work like that. Okay? So, meaning that based on where your frequency at, based on how you are accepting the universe and the energy of the universe, you will comprehend what I'm saying. That the atmosphere is based on that person themselves, of how they were designed as a child, and the devastations that have happened to them before they have caused a situation to happen. It's not the act of the devil. It's the act of man and man's ignorance of self, because we are normalizing mental sickness, because we want to medicate mental sickness with a pill or with an injection, because we want to medicate our mental sickness with boozing and with smoke. You understand? It does nothing but create that apparatus of whether you have the potential to do good or to do evil. Whenever you are taught or you think religiously that whatever is going on is based on, again, on a God frequency and the devil's frequency, okay, you allow yourself to be ignorant and to bypass the fact that man themselves, humans themselves, are accountable for their actions. It is a human action that just so happened to be grotesque. It's a human action that just so happened to be breathtaking. It's a human action that just so happened to be so horrendous and bad, where it makes you say, oh my God, that person is so evil. But you got to remember, yes, there's good actions, yes, and there is evil actions. It's not just as what you would think, again, based on a devilish person or a godly like person. No, today, here in this generation, it's based on the development of that person that have been going year after year unchecked, who have been dealing with their issues unchecked, who have been brought up in an environment who is accepting, as you know, this environment does, as an American world and American environment, accept low frequency, sick-minded behavior, because we're not building any systems to try to combat against it. We're not trying to, so you got to understand something that's going on in America today. We are a corporation that is based on money. Okay, it's based on, if you give me something, or if I want something from you, I give you something in return. So there's an exchange going on. So most of that exchange isn't based on trying to heal you. It's not based on trying to be concerned about you. It's not based on compassion and saying, oh, this girl is going through this, or this guy is going through this, let me help him. Okay, without asking for anything in return. It's always, I need you to give me something if you expect for me to do for you. Okay, so that small frequency like thinking, okay, which is not your it's not your third eye, your human fleshly eyes, okay, causes this whole environment to become stagnated in computerized thinking, and in thinking in algorithms that, okay, 1 + 2 and this is that, and you know, we got to do our pluses and minuses, and let's times this here, let's multiply it by that. And when you have that type of environment of the thinking type of people where it always have to be some type of a trade-off, okay, then you're living in a lifeless society, which always have to build infrastructures around people who actually need real help. So some people won't help you move your house unless you're helping them, okay, unless you're paying them. Or like if you need to ride somewhere, you know, someone's always like, well, you got to give me some gas money, you know, you got to give me this and that. It's rarely a time, even though it's rarely a time where somebody be like, you know what, you need some help, let me help you in your situation with true concern and true compassion. You understand? So a lot of people, millions of people, go without, they struggle alone, they suffer alone, they have to deal with the destruction of their own families alone without outside people actually being concerned enough to help them, because in the mindset of American people, or most people, it's a me situation where, oh, it's not my problem, so I don't have to help them. I don't have to go through that, so I don't have to deal with it. No, you know, I got all my ducks in order. I got my life together. I'm living on an island somewhere. I'm a one-man army, so why should I care about anybody else's mentality? Okay, so these individuals who grow up out of that swamp, out of that situation, ends up this small seed of mental illness that eventually gets so big where they will actually think of a scheme or a situation to hurt other people. Do you understand that? They will think of ways to get the attention that they need because they're so hopeless. Do you understand? They're so hopeless that you ain't going to care about them. Other people ain't going to care about them. Everybody else will walk on the other side of the sidewalk and let them struggle with their heavy bags of groceries and whatever else, okay? Or you'll see other people who worry about their own infrastructures, and you see these other groups of people who are actually suffering, Okay? Whereas they feel like they will never get the help and the hope that they need. So they become hopeless. That's not an act of the devil. It's the act of human being disconcerted with each other, or dispassionate, or selfish, you could say, are generally whatever words that you want to use concerning people wanting to segregate themselves and disconnect themselves from the compassion that they can have for the average man or woman. Instead of always saying, give me something first, give me something and I'll help you. Instead of just saying, okay, I'll take care of you. I know you need help, so I'm going to help you. Okay, my truck is full of goods. Your truck is empty. Let me see if I can fill your truck up to help you along the way. But a lot of these people are driving with the empty truck or an empty tank, and they feel like nobody's going to help them. They end up growing to the point where there is no help. Nobody is concerned about them. Nobody's saying, hey, how you doing, brother? You know, talking to them. Let's go out and eat. Let's go drink a beer or something like that. Hey, let's talk about it. Let's go shoot some pool and, let me help you out. You need me to help you out. Let's do this type of thing of bonding each other. Okay. You have eventually, out of 10 of those people who you are ignoring, eventually 10 of those people who grow up with the mental sickness and are feeling hopeless, one of them falls through the crack. Okay. And they end up creating the catastrophes that you read in the news. They end up being the one that are walking to the church with a firearm and try to eliminate, because they feel like in their mind they're not doing anything anyway, because they're already eliminated, because we have eliminated them mentally. We have eliminated them by being unconcerned about them. Are you listening to Morpheus? Well, wait a minute. Some of y'all are waiting on this. Let me go ahead and give you that red pill, because I got started without even getting. Here we go. It's really going to start getting toxic now, because some of you have already did your dirt by giving them a hopeless lifestyle, by allowing most of them to be born in a broken home. Listen, by allowing them to grow up without the concern and the help and the financial support and the background that they need. Okay, making life harder, inflation of the economics. Okay, making life stressful. All these evil women who want to be, I just don't need a man. Who cares? So, okay, fine. So you got all this negative stuff going on. So you got this one person that just may need a woman, or you got this one person who might be absent of family, where family is so distorted and broken. Since we have a majority of a lot of broken families here in America, okay, there are several people who have to carry that burden for the rest of their lives. And they feel like, okay, for them to act out like they did, or like they have done in your recent email by way of the news, okay, that you read up, going into the church and do the shootings and increased crime and road rage, where you get out in the middle of the street and you start attacking. Okay, these seeds aren't something that happened overnight. It built up. So in that person's mind, they have already been attacked by you attacking them by ignoring them. Do you understand? So they feel as if when they do acts like that, okay, it's actually in defense of themselves. And I'm not giving them fodder. I'm not saying that is the specific reason. I'm saying generally and mentally in the mind of these people, because they are hopeless. Who created the hopeless situation when you got a billion people are around them who can say, oh man, come on, let's go. Nah, man, I'll put that. Let's go for a walk, man. Let's talk. But instead of you or some other person, they're like, oh man, I ain't worried about it. I'm too busy. No, I ain't got time for them. And I don't need to call them up, because I think they're okay. She's a strong woman, or he's a strong man. They can handle it, right? Then eventually the explosion happens, and then everybody's shocked. It's not an act of the devil. It's the act of the heartless, passionless, non-compassion of the human world that we live in today in this society. And you will see more and more of it. Okay, probably after you read this video, you look at the news again, something else is going to happen with someone else that wants to attack a major establishment, and you got this question mark on here as to why. It's because of the environment. If you have a hopeless environment, if you have cold-hearted people, if you have such a stagnated, tough environment where people are only concerned about themselves and they're selfish, okay, there's going to be a few people that's going to fall through the crack. That's going to be like, no, I'm not taking this. No, I'm not dealing with it. Do you understand? That's not God allowing the devil to do that. That's not the devil saying, oh, I'm just going to go out there and kill people. It don't work like that. No, it comes from the conditioning of our condoning, because we aren't trying to help the situation, because we're not trying to help them, because we allow sickness to get out of control, because we normalize sickness. These people are created. Don't blame the devil, blame yourself. Now, getting on with the next email. A lady asked me this, and it was like a face-to-face conversation when we were talking. Usually I do the footwork, like I said, before I make these videos, I talk to people and I get their advice, and we discuss things that are real to you and to me. And we had a discussion about religion and church, and she was talking about how a lot of people are turning away from the churches, basically turning away from religion. Okay, and I had to break it down to her that it's not historical. That's why. People are waking up. People are getting smarter. The average human is actually mentally evolving when it comes to information. So therefore, they're looking for real action. They're looking for facts. So therefore, if they're lied to, they're like, man, that's BS. I ain't going to deal with that. And they're walking away from it. But she began to say this, and it went along with a couple of other emails that I can actually bring it to you as well to put it together. And she said this. She says, the teaching of the church is good if the mother or father isn't doing a good job at home. So basically what she was saying was this. She's like, okay, well, if some sort of idea of a morality, or some sort of idea that there is a higher power in the universe in the respect of mankind and the 10 commandments and the things that you should do, should not do, and all that. Basically the philosophy in religion, okay, let's put it like that, or the wisdom in the biblical text. There is wisdom in it. That doesn't make it reality. It's just wisdom, okay? It's just things that you can say, okay, that makes sense and relate it to your life, okay? She's basically saying, which makes a lot of sense, but I'm going to add to it as well. She's saying, okay, she's saying that it's good because nobody's teaching these kids, because the parents aren't teaching them at home. You understand? So if you're watching the news and all these heinous hatred, unspeakable crimes are going on, and I don't have my pad today, but I got it in the pad. Let me put it for example. And probably some of you know this. I think it was in a certain city. There were 200 kids or teenagers that was in the mall or at a mall setting that the officers had to actually escort from this particular place because they were fighting, they were acting out, they were loud, they were just being rowdy, I mean just out of control, okay? So the 200 of these teenagers, adolescents and minors, was escorted from this particular area, okay? That some of you probably read the news and probably know this more in detail. I don't have my pad, so I can't read it to you, and I don't want to be wrong about it, okay? You will say, where are these kids coming from? You understand? Where are the parents at? Could you say, oh, all 200 of the parents are just, daddies? Daddies without... No, they're not. Okay? This is the result of the parents not doing their just diligence at home. This is the results of broken families. This is the result of women saying, I don't need a man at home. I don't need a dude. And she goes out and she does her own thing. And her teenage daughter or her teenage son is out there in the mall, acting a fool, out there in the mall, feeling and acting as if they can do whatever they want to, because when they come home, there's no justification at home. There's no mommy, there's no daddy to tell them what to do. So they're acting grown out here in the public arena. Do you understand? So let me bridge that to this email, okay? And I don't want to get y'all too lost in this, okay? If there's no teaching of proper behavior at home, what the church does or the religion does is give these kids at least an idea. It gives these kids at least some sort of ground that they can hold on to. Now, the problem with that is that they don't evolve, because of course, if you watch my other videos and other videos, a lot of you comprehend that religion is not the way. A lot of you comprehend that it's not factual, it's just mythical and whatever else, okay? So your mind is already advanced. So imagine you trying to evolve and you have a cap holding you down. So because the parents at home are lofty, they're irrelevant, they're broken homes, they're being raised by single mothers, okay, who is too busy and who can't by nature and naturally be the father and the mother at home. So this child grows up without any restraints, without any respect for the law, without any respect for themselves, without any concern about hell or heaven in its perspectives, okay, in its concepts of any degree. You understand? So they end up going out there, so they are trained without brakes. They are an 80,000-pound truck without brakes. So they're just whirling down the road, tearing up everything. So church ends up becoming their only idea to slow themselves down. Okay, that doesn't make church, you could say, the best thing in their life. That doesn't mean that church is as what you would know as an adult, ultimately good in the idea of humanity. No, that just means that's the only roadblock. That's the only brakes that they could have. So therefore, as they are circulating in their life, they just have to come back down to where the church is. But that don't mean they evolve. That means they end up being stuck right there. So regardless if that religious foundation is there or the parent may be there, okay, it does become a restriction for that child, meaning they end up coming back to being de-evolved instead of being evolved. But here's the thing. It's only good because that is the only breaks that those children can have by teaching them, hey, you should do this or you should do that in this certain situation because mommy and daddy's not doing it. Do you understand? So it's the same as rappers and other famous people being idols for these kids because daddy and mommy is not idols. It's no different than every other institution such as colleges and every other type of world format to create an idea of life for these kids, even though it's not the only idea for them, but they only look for that because there's no tethers at home. There's no rulers at home. There's no ideas at home. Do you understand? That doesn't mean you need to go out there and say, oh, yes, religion is the way. Church, and yes, you start shouting and go back in there and say, oh, yeah, hallelujah, this is the way to do it. No. That's not what it's saying. It's only said that it's the only breaks that is there for that child. That's the only idea that child has to give that child a sense of morality. Do you understand? It's just a sense of morality. That doesn't make it right. It just makes it the only last critical call to save that child's life. So I understand what she meant when she was saying that. But for you and for several of you that have emailed me about the situation, it's the same thing. Just because this poison apple, listen, it's like this. Our children are starving. And let's just say some sort of religion is a poison apple. But the child is hungry. They need to eat. They need guidance. They need to have nutrition. But the only thing that's available for them is this poison apple. Even if it's going to kill them, even if it's not good, it's the only thing they have. So whose fault is that? It's not the child themselves. And it's not the churches, it's the parents, by not giving them proper guidance and living in this broken home syndrome and saying, oh, I can do this all by myself. Not comprehending that once you do have a child, okay, you have to bring that child up in a balanced home to be able to bring balance with that child. And yes, there's been cases where these kids have had mommy and daddy. There's been situations where mom and dad was at home. You understand? But it still goes back to the basic studies of psychology that there was a seed that was going on where this child was killing cats, running over people. The mom and dad brought that child anything they wanted, spoiled the child, told the child, oh, you're good. Even though you're not good in the football team, but you still should be able to get grants. You're still a great person, beefing this child's head up, when they weren't doing the best that the parents knew that they should have been doing, okay, caused that child to end up in a mindset where still they feel like they are entitled to what life have to offer and not have to work for it. Do you understand? So that still leads that child down the path of this negative seed of destruction that ends up becoming this huge ball that everybody suffers from. And the thing is, and I told you about this in the other video, you can think that you have nothing to do with it all you want to. Okay? Morpheus, okay, and yourself. The reason why y'all watch my channel, the reason why y'all donate to my channel, the reason why some of y'all are reading my books, okay, is because you're trying to get the information that you can to avoid yourself from sitting down in the church, okay, and somebody walking in there who is at the end of their wits, okay, and try to cause a catastrophe. You understand? Because most of those people, when they had interviews with him, and one of the girls said something that I told you in my other video, I told you this, okay? I told you this, and I don't want you to say the same thing. She said this when she was interviewed, when this person walked into the church and buckshotted her father with the shotgun. She said, I watch it on the news all the time, and I know it's happening around the world every now and then, but when it happens to you, it's like a nightmare. It's like you can't believe that it actually happened. Do you understand what I'm saying, my family of America? It don't matter where you are. It could be in a parking lot. It could be at a grocery. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just saying for an example, okay? Where you would think, oh, Morpheus is BS. I'm not going to listen to him. I don't care. But this real life talk don't mean anything, right? And when it happens, then all of a sudden you're like, how did we let this happen? How could we have prevented this? Okay? I am telling you how it happens. And I'm telling you what it would take to prevent it is to turn this blue, cold heart that you have of saying, oh, I don't care. It's not my problem. It's not my issues. I don't need to implement programs. I don't need to be compassionate towards people. It's all about my life. And I don't need to change the way these schools are teaching these kids. Okay. We can just keep having this ubiquitous technology. We can keep disconnecting. Listen, if you know me as Morpheus, you know what I'm getting ready to say based on my other videos. If we keep disconnecting human beings from their instincts by putting computers in front of them and kids giving them these iPhones instead of a real book that they can read in paper and pencil, okay? If we don't start implementing humanity back into human beings, it's going to happen again. You just don't want to be that person like that lady in the interview. She said, I couldn't believe it happened. Sometimes you never believe, you never accept it until it happens to you. And until that's your father falling down, or until it's one of your loved ones, or until it's you who's on this gurney and your stuff is open. And then you're like, how come nobody saved me? I'm saving you now if you're listening. It starts with you allowing your humanity to be programmed like robots to distort your instincts by putting all this technology in your face and computers where you never have time to think for yourself. Do you understand? So therefore you become disconnected with your instincts, and you have these families at home who's constantly broken. You have women who's constantly saying, I don't need a man, I can do it all by myself. The police can tell you that. The 200 kids that was in the museum, it was a mall place. The 200 of them that they had to actually escort out of there. Listen, 200 teenagers? Really? 200 of them. You're like, where's the parents at? Like, what's going on? Because y'all don't care. You just don't think. It's like, oh, it doesn't matter. We'll let the world raise them. And then all of a sudden, if the officers have to put one of them down because they wanted to be or they wanted to pull out something out, they wanted to attack them, even though the officer is doing their job, and then you want to scream Bloody Mary. But yet you was ignoring what you could have did to prevent this from happening. The home needs estrogen and testosterone, whether you like it or not. The home needs balance. whether you like it or not. Everyone needs an essence of compassion and care for each individual, and they need it uniquely, but they're going to have it in one form, shape, or another. When they don't have it, when you provide and you condone the environment to give zero compassion, zero outward, zero hope, then this is what you're going to get on the gurney. Next email. Someone wanted me to give them an example. I'll make this very short and simple. They said, well, it's funny how you talk about how being around parents where kids can turn out to be just like their parents. Doctors and psychologists can tell you that. So it says, brought up to be like-minded like the parents. How is this a devastating thing? Well, you don't have to go into science to it. It's very simple. When a boy is usually around the mommy all the time, he's going to take up mommy's sensitivities and her femininity if she's, if she has that left within her, okay, trying to be mommy and daddy. But he's still going to take up that estrogen. He's still going to take up that feminine energy, and he's going to transform to be just like her. Same as it is for a girl. There was a girl, a female friend of mine, it was so many years ago, who was working as a contractor, and her dad was a contractor. I don't know how they did it, but it happened. Okay, that's good, that's nice, they were together. The father was a contractor, and he would always bring his daughter with him, okay, and they would come into this building and work on lights or poles and things like that, and I would sit there and watch. Okay, it's interesting. And I noticed that the girl looked just like the dad. She had a tool chest on. She's like burly, and she was a little girl, but just the way she walked just like the dad. Where her walk was up here. It wasn't down here in the hips as usually for girls are. It was up here, right? And when I was speaking to her and talking to her, she had the same slang, the same language, same as her dad, where it was hard to, the only thing that determined her to be different than her dad, being that she was a female, was the fact that she was a female. But other than that, she took on her dad's personality and his energy. So it's not something that's impossible to comprehend. It's important for children to have that healthy balance between testosterone, estrogen, womanhood, and manhood, because that raises up the child in the only direction the child knows, because that child is innocent. The child knows nothing, from the age 1 to 18 and however they become responsible for their life. Okay, so the determination is based on what we are doing for our children and our kids at home. So all these things I'm talking about still falls down on your own integrity. It falls down on what you are for the people in the environment. You understand? It's not all about a devil and God situation. It's all about, logic, listen, and compassion. Did you get that? It's all about logic and compassion. Logic will say, wait a minute, if we do this, this is going to happen. You understand? And also with that will determine how compassionate you are. And based on your life, you'll be okay, well, let me do this because I know it needs to be done because I'm concerned about this, so we can change the situation for the better. Because today we don't think like that, because we're so full of illogical emotions, because we're so full of selfish behavior, because we are taught since age 1 to 21 and up that, it's all about getting money. Hey, let's go, yeah, bling bling, baby. That's what I'm talking about. What's up with that? That's what's up, right? And we hear the music that teaches that. When it comes to the time of producing for someone else without asking for anything in return, it's like, this is odd. I don't understand. It's strange. It's strange to humanity to be a human. It's strange to have compassion for the next person because they're going through. Why would you see somebody suffer and know of somebody suffering and still be like, I don't care. They have nothing to do with me. That's their problem. All they doing is this, they just going through things. But you don't understand What you don't understand is the fact that you don't understand. Did you get what I just said? Rewind it if you didn't get that. The fact is, you don't understand because you don't want to understand. Because all those issues start with one little bitty seed of one or two people who said, they're okay. They're fine. Yeah, I called them up yesterday. They're going to be okay. I'm too busy. I ain't got things to do, right? And these little seeds, with whether it's in your family, whether it's some homeless person on the street, whether it's somebody else's family, do you understand? Or whether it's a community of people where we are always walking past it and we're like, oh, that'd never reach my doorstep. That'd never happen to us. Really? There's been many times where people was they were sitting in their house, sipping on some tea, watching ESPN, okay? And because some drunken moron, okay, who's living a rough lifestyle, who's probably the age 19, some of them 18, some of them even 21, who was raised by ignorant parents, you understand, who wasn't real guidance for their kids to begin with, end up driving on that road and lose control because they think they're entitled to life and run right into your house. And you don't know that person from Adam and Eve, even though Adam and Eve never existed, but you don't know them from Adam and Eve. Okay? But you say, oh, it's not your problem. It's your problem now when the front end of their car is in your porch or is on the side of your house. Do you understand? This thing, you got to understand something. The ripple of water, no matter how big America is, okay, that ripple, once that ripple starts over here, okay, give it a certain amount of time, that ripple ripples down this way and it reaches you. So all this stuff I'm talking about is a group effort to start changing things by the way you think and how you treat people individually at home and start making compassion out of your day. Whereas if you're doing your task, a billion other people start doing their task. Okay, then you got everybody who's on the same page. It's almost like everybody's breathing, right? You say, oh, it's impossible, Morpheus. Okay, everybody's breathing, right? Okay, almost in every home, you got a water outlet, right? Almost in every corporation and building, there's a toilet somewhere, right? And there's a water outlet for people to drink water. Okay, yes, it took some time, but almost everybody in the USA have a water outlet where they can drink some water. Okay, the same as that became a common thing. You can't say that as a human being or as a person, you individually can't make a change. Because just like we got on board with the water outlet and the water sewage plant and how we're able to, we're all breathing and we all function certain ways. Sometimes shirts like this, this all over the place, all over the US. It reached from here to, who knows, North Carolina to Colombia, right? It can do the same thing. So why would we say, oh, it's impossible for me to do? It's just the fact that y'all don't want to do it. The only time the average person start taking action, okay, is when it come knocking at your door. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, we got to do something about it. No, don't worry about it now. You have nothing to do with it. Let the car sit in your front room and you deal with it. Maybe buy the car and let that be a part of your house now. Since you said that's not your problem. It's that family's problem that's across the street. Even though you could have sent flowers. You could have been like, oh, how are you doing? And oh, you want to barbecue? I'm barbecuing. Come on. Oh, I'm alone on holidays and I never, I don't go out because I don't trust people. Oh, you can trust me. Come on. No, I don't. I just don't do. No, come on. I have a barbecue. I'm having a barbecue at 4:00. You're invited. Come on. You need to be here. We're not having a barbecue until you get here. So you open up yourself. You're building a wall of compassion. We got to start somewhere. Because if all of us is cutting down our bridges, okay, there are some people who want to cross that bridge and they feel hopeless. And they'll feel hopeless because we condoned it and prepared it and constructed it to happen. And then therefore, there's the crime. There's the hopelessness behavior. There's the mass shootings. Do you understand? There's people that want to start trouble with the schools, if you know what I mean. You understand? Because we don't get it. Do your integrity at home. Do your task first. Then we'll start moving in the right direction. If we don't do nothing at all, don't start calling Morpheus, asking questions. How are we gonna do this? You got all the information that you need. Take the information, start making things happening, keep yourself aware, keep the energy going. Okay? That way, when somebody needs to cross that bridge is going to be available for them. If we don't create available bridges, if we don't create hope, do you understand? If we don't bring compassion back into humanity as it's supposed to be, then what type of humanity are we creating? We are creating a hopeless, compassionless humanity. And out of that is going to be a group of people who's going to fall through the cracks, and they're going to meet you at your doorstep one way or the other, whether you know them or not. That should answer your question. And you can combine that in its cluster based on everything I talk about. Like, oh, it's the devil. It's not the devil. Okay, combine that saying, oh, you got 200 kids that are in this group. Where are the 200 parents? Is this the America that we want? Now, I got more for you. It's a video for you today. This is Leon C, aka Morpheus. You got that book down there, 2020, America Rise or Fall Hard. Support it, buy it, sell it, give it to as many people as you can. Okay? And like this video and give it to those who think that they are a one-man army and an island away from the world. Because in order to change things, we got to do it as an individual and we got to do it as a group. But we have to start by understanding where the roots come from. It's because we are heartless. Bring heart back, then heart will be brought back into the community.